All right. Bassist and vocalist Esperanza Spalding is here to talk about her new EP with pianist Fred Hirsch, which was recorded live at the Village Vanguard. Proceeds from that album actually go to the Jazz Foundation of America. Plus, we've got virtual concerts and album recommendations in the 5 spot. I'm Brian Zimmerman, and this is the Jazz's Last Call. Okay, and before we get into today's conversation with Esperanza Spalding, I again just want to recommend an ECM album that you might want to check out. This one is from guitarist John Scofield. I've got it in my hand here, and if you've never held an ECM album in your hands, it is a thing of beauty. It is his latest called Swallow Tales. It is Sco's debut as a leader on ECM Records, and it is a tribute to his longtime friend, the electric bassist Steve Swallow. Steve is also in the trio that appears on this disc, along with drummer Bill Stewart. And yeah, it is a great listen. You can check it out for yourself and pre-order it because it comes out this Friday, June 5th at ecmrecords.com. Also wanted to let you know real quick about our summer 2020 issue, which is all about fusion. This is on newsstands and headed to mailboxes now as we speak. Great cover story on Chicoria. We talk with some young players keeping the fusion flame alive, go into an essential fusion discography. And yeah, all the content from this print issue is actually available on our website right now as web articles. You'll need a digital subscription to read it, but you can get one for just 99 cents per month for 3 months. Plus, along with that offer, we'll enroll you to receive our forthcoming print issue, which is all about the art of the album. Listening to albums, collecting albums, album cover art, producing an album. It's a really exciting issue. I personally am really looking forward to it. And yeah, you sign up now for a digital subscription, you'll be enrolled to receive that complimentary issue. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, for this debut episode of Jazz's Last Call in this 8:30 p.m. Eastern time slot. It's Monday, June 1st, and we can all, I think, use a moment just to breathe and to listen and just focus on something creative and healing. And fortunately, that is what my guest today is all about. She is Esperanza Spalding, bassist and vocalist and Grammy-winning recording artist. She has been redefining what jazz can be and what music can be since at least 2006 with the release of her debut album. Since then, we've seen the release of some amazing projects like Chamber Music Society and Radio Music Society, as well as albums that became stage pieces like Emily's D+ Evolution, and albums like Exposure, which was recorded in real time in one day, and 12 Little Spells, in which each song on the disc correlated to a different part of the body. Her latest project is Esperanza Spalding and Fred Hirsch live at the Village Vanguard, Rough Mix EP, a 5-song EP captured during the duo's 2018 run at the iconic New York City nightclub, the Village Vanguard. The EP is a live rough mix with no edits, so what you hear is what you would have heard. It is available on Bandcamp right now and only through the month of June, and like I said, proceeds from the sale of the album go to the Jazz Foundation of America and their efforts to help musicians through the COVID-19 crisis. Excuse me. So without further ado, we have Esperanza Spalding waiting in the wings for this, our first episode of the Jazz's Last Call. Let's welcome her. Esperanza, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, thank you so much. Hello. Thank you so much, first of all, for just carving time out to talk to us. We sincerely appreciate it. This is huge.
My pleasure. Thanks for talking about this project. I just want to clarify, it's not my project.
That's true.
Fred Hirsch and I have a really lovely musical relationship and friendship. And we had the opportunity to perform at the Village Vanguard. I believe he was doing a week there and invited me down for 3 nights. And we've been talking about what to do with this body of work. There are lots of songs recorded, and I thought that now would be a nice time to just share it, make it available to listen to, and hopefully support our homies out here who have lost the gigs. So
absolutely. No, much needed and beautiful music. And yeah, sorry, my mistake. It is very much a collaborative project. And, you know, Fred, so associated with the Village Vanguard. And, you know, to see you two work together, it was pure magic. Before we get into that, and I definitely want to get into it, you know, I just want to ask because, you know, your career has in a lot of ways helped us make the connection between music and healing. and holistic healing and music in the body and the way it transforms the body and the way the body can transform music. You know, these are tense times for everyone for obvious reasons. So I'm just curious. I asked all guests right off the bat, you know, how they're coping. What are they doing to kind of, you know, keep their heads above water, or, you know, alternative. Maybe it's the time we need to feel tense, but how have you been dealing with it?
Well, we are following the guidance of our elders, some of them living, some of them ancestors in this music, who have survived horrors that we really can't imagine. You know, the prevalent horrors of being a Black man in the United States in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and 2010s and 2020s, and hopefully let this be the last decade. But I think we know this is liberation music if we're talking about Black music, improvisation-based music. It's always been liberation music. And I feel that we have to know the depth of the wound to know the medicine that's required to respond. And I think our elders, our ancestors, our guides, McCoy Tyners, the John Coltrane's, Eric Dolphy's, the Charles Mingus's, they were very much in touch with the depth of the wound. And I believe that the music was made as a response to that. Not just to liberate the player and to liberate the audiences, but almost as like a guidebook. Here's how you can alchemize suffering and translate it into sense, harmony, and fuel and soothing to keep going. So I think, like many of us, we're finding now's the time to go, okay, well, what is it I thought I was going to do? Because now's the time. So how do I do what it is I always wanted to do? Right. And I think it's an invitation to go ahead and test the strength of what we've been handed down, which is liberation music. That means different things to every person, of course. We all have our ways of applying our medicine, right? Administering it. But I think it's important to remember that if we've been studying this music, we have been studying a liberation medicine. It was founded by people who had to survive the war that was taking place then on Black bodies, and it was prevalent. It wasn't a moment in response to a death. It wasn't a quote unquote movement. It's a perpetual movement of being a person of color in this country, and that encompasses Hispanic people, that encompasses Asian American people, that encompasses anybody who has been the victim of state-sanctioned violence and oppression. And let's just remember that you listen to the lyrics, you know, listen to what Sun Ra was talking about, listen to the titles of Charles Mingus' songs. Like we've been given a lot of guidance, and it feels like now is the time to graduate, right? And figure out how we're going to translate that guidance into the world as practitioners. You can certainly, for anybody who's interested, reach out and ask for guidance from your friends in the fields of community organizing. It's not a field, it is a state of being. Your friends who are in neuroscience, your friends who are in music therapy, your friends who are in psychotherapy, your friends who work with youth. You know, it's a time, I think, to bring in the best of what we've each been practicing and find a way to enhance the strengths of each of our medicines. So personally, I'm definitely asking the question, what to do now with liberation music and what we know from a medical perspective, from a scientific perspective of how music can intervene and help us heal, you know? Sometimes that might mean singing in 4-part harmony like the Freedom Singers did and slowing down the police front line. Sometimes that might mean, how do we provide music at the end of the day for somebody who just had their head smashed in from a tear gas canister? How do you provide the fuel that we can keep going and being present and not succumb to the neurological state that is activated from being in constant stress that compromises our capacity to think coherently about what we're actually going to do long term? What are we going to build together? And I'm saying we, I'm saying we, but I'm not actually there exposing my body to danger. So extending the realm of a we, it's like, if we're not on the front line and if we aren't advocating for policy change and if we aren't advocating for justice, if our medicine and our way of showing up is to be jazz musicians, let's be really responsible practitioners and go, where are the strongest tools that I can draw from and weave into my music to offer something right now?
No, that's beautifully said. And your music has been a salve and is very much so right now. Especially because we're still dealing with the crisis of COVID-19 and the fallout for the artistic community and what that means, and seeing all the gigs dry up on top of everything else. And so this project, this duo project with Fred, the fact that the proceeds go to the Jazz Foundation of America and their efforts to help musicians through this crisis is enormously important. And
I just want to clarify what proceeds mean, because that can be
okay. Yep.
Bandcamp doesn't pay some category of royalties. I can't remember which one it is. I don't remember the term. So essentially, since these are not our songs, if they were our songs, we would just donate 100% of everything that comes into Bandcamp. But we have to pay personally royalties for using those standards in the song, playing those standards. So everything but that goes to the Jazz Foundation of America. And we chose Jazz Foundation of America because when we did our research about who was responding, there are so many effective and beautiful responses. And it seemed like, obviously, we wanted to do something for the jazz community. And it seemed like their process is very fluid and responsive. Yeah, and again, this is only for the month of June, because it was like, let's go. Like, we need to get a response popping off now.
Right. Right, only for the month of June, $17, and then you can donate additional money to the cause. Yeah, and musically, it's just fantastic. I mean, you and Fred have played together really only a handful of times prior to this, right?
Yeah, and at his house. We've played in his home. I think I've come for some lessons, meaning witnessing other people have lessons.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the few times we played, it was just like, oh, I know this bicycle,
That's what's so incredible. It sounds like you've been playing together, for decades. I mean, the way there's the Fred's original that's a tribute to Monk, Dream of Monk. It's like you guys are moving together, shifting together, stopping together, starting together. It sounds like pre-written almost. I know you're improvising, but it's just such incredible simpatico. It's almost like in a real conversation. It's just like you cut right to the real talk. You skip the small talk.
Actually, we were. I was having a conversation with some friends and colleagues who work at different intersections of music and healing, and we were just speculating about the potential for improvisation to show up as like a healing presence, or at least a presence that generates hope. And one of the things we kind of landed on, this is not from any scientific study or metadata, we're just riffing here. I think one of the reasons that improvisation seems to attract us in these moments of angst or unsureness or insecurity, because the art form itself is about responding to the unknown and making sense and harmony out of it, right? And I think that is what we're all in. None of us have any idea what is going to happen. And every day, every week, it feels like we're just being thrown stuff. And we have to somehow kind of make sense and harmony out of it. And that's the practice of improvisation, right? There's a Charlie Parker quote that says, improvisation is the art of recovery. And I think that is the practice, right?
Right.
So maybe somewhere in the back of our minds, it was like what we have going on in this duo recording, other than, of course, just like awesome jams and Fred, what in the hell, like an alien and an alien of glory music. But it feels like, we both were going through a really hard time in our lives when we were performing those nights at the Vanguard. And I think you can feel us like digging into what the music has to give us, right? And maybe in this moment, when we're all trying to figure out how we're going to respond and make harmony out of what we're being thrown, maybe hearing two people in a space where we're successfully doing that in that little microcosm of some jazz standards, maybe that is like a reminder that we can do this. And we have the tools from elsewhere, right? We've never faced exactly this. The generation hasn't anyway. but we have been practicing the response in other ways, right? And we know that, if you're in an improvisational context, no matter what is thrown to you, you are equipped to take it and work with it and create something harmonious and continue it on, and it keeps growing and it keeps beautifying. So maybe there's something about offering that reminder that like we got this.
Totally. And you throw it into high relief because, I've read some quotes. You say, playing with Fred was so much fun. It was like being in the sandbox, but at the same time, I can hear the way he challenges you and the way you challenge him, Can you elaborate on that a little bit, on playing with someone like Fred, what he may throw you musically that puts you in, just like we were saying, puts you in the spot of having to think originally and,
That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not in the habit of playing with folks who are going to toss in what I'm expecting. I mean, I think we sign up for that when we delve into this music devotion or this love of the music. And what I think was happening at the Vanguard is, and what is happening when we play, is we give ourselves permission to just like not ask before we leap. We don't look before we leap. So I don't even think it's about, well, I'm going to challenge you. It's just each of us feel like we have permission to be completely free. So Fred will leap somewhere and he trusts that I'll meet him.
Right.
And then I'll leap somewhere and I trust that he'll meet me. And we're like building these constellation bridges, that sort of like build out into thin air in directions that we don't really know where we're going to land, but we trust that together we're going to keep building that bridge out of thin air and land somewhere. And, and when we don't, then that becomes a purpose too. That becomes a new idea that we didn't land, and then we see what that is. I mean, but essentially that's like describing the contents of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know what I mean? That's what we do. That's the dance. That is the dance. And I do think that something's for what Fred and I are able to do in our joy space. I do think something special is happening in those 3 nights. And Fred will literally never be the same because we had a hip replacement after that. So that was the last time you got to hear what Fred sounds like with that hip.
That's right. Yeah. Different body. You in your discography really, known for your originals, and you're diving into some songbook standards here, and hearing some original takes on the songbook standards. How did it feel for you to be back in the Great American Songbook, flipping through pages, with Fred?
I mean, all of the writing is a place to start. All of it is, whether it's my song, Fred's song, anybody's song. And maybe one of the reasons that we lean towards standards is we're starting from like a common familiarity with the body of music. If I come in with my original compositions, and I'm more familiar with it than my colleagues, than my fellow musicians. I think one of the joys, I guess, of coming into standards is like, oh, we all speak this language at the same level. So now as we compose poems together, like we kind of have access to the same familiarity with the vocabulary, right? It's a start. Vocabulary is a starting place. It doesn't matter if you have all the vocabulary in the world. It's how you poeticize with it. What do you have to say? What do you have to bring? So that is a beautiful benefit, I guess, of starting with standards. And to me, for whatever reason, Fred's song "Dream of Monk" feels like a standard to me. Maybe because
100%.
Forged of components that feel familiar because it's so inspired by music, but that it feels like I knew that song, known it for years. I haven't, but it feels like I have. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you set foot in the Village Vanguard? And not even to perform there, but just to attend a show?
I don't. Because it feels like I go there so much, or I went there so much in the 12 or so years that I lived in New York. I can't even remember the first time. It just it became like a part of my life and my existence. But I do remember Lorraine Gordon um, telling me that, so she had come to see me play somewhere else, which was, I felt so blessed. I felt like that was the biggest compliment I could ever hope for in my life. Um, and when the next time I was at the Village Vanguard, I was performing with Joe Labana. I was playing bass in probably Us Five.
Okay.
And I went backstage to see Lorraine Queen Gordon. And she said, if you ever sing like that in this club, I'll shoot you.
Wow.
I mean, you have to know her. It's almost like being affronted, like an affront from Lorraine Gordon is like a kiss, you know. And I definitely felt like Deb and Jed and Lorraine and the beautiful beings who, you know, run the door and run the sound and run the bar and who wait feel like family. It feels like a community. And maybe that's part why I don't remember the first time, because it just feels like a place that I feel so at home and so welcome. And it is a sanctuary. It is a church. It is a temple, and that never gets old. But I have come to feel very at home there.
You can hear that. You can hear your presence in the room. It's phenomenal. And, you know, I'm even thinking of the final tune on the EP, Laurel, the Gismonti tune, where you've got this beautiful scat introduction and somebody sneezes. You say, bless you. They sneezes again. And you say, okay, you only get one. Is that energy, is that audience energy very much part of the set? Or do you ever draw a line at the stage and say, what happens here on my side is what's happening, you know?
Oh, you know, we're not thinking about that. It's like we're in a thing together, and the thing incorporates the listeners, it incorporates probably the spirits, it incorporates the staff, it incorporates, you know, our friends and family who are back at the bar. And really, I mean, it's true dialogue, so we don't come in with an agenda. Well, actually, I'm going to quote Wayne. He talks about agenda-free dialogue, and I think we were definitely in a state of agenda-free dialogue. And when we enter a space like that, and the dialogue encompasses everyone in the room, we don't know what's going to happen because we're in dialogue, right? And we're ready to respond as need be and reflect on what comes to us as need be in real time. And that is what is captured in this EP.
Totally. And it, like I said, it is just beautiful. You want to hear real deep conversation between two musicians. This is absolutely the EP for the moment. Esperanza, thank you so much for chatting with me about this new project. We should mention again, it's available now on Bandcamp.
Yes.
$17. Yep. Just for the month of June. Just for the month of June, $17 plus an additional donation. Help out the Jazz Foundation of America and their efforts to really assist musicians during what is a tough time, a real dry spell. And it's the music is beautiful.
The album is available to purchase so that we can support the JFA. So Fred and I we're not selling it and taking the cut and the rest go to the JFA. Everything except for the piece for the song goes to the JFA. And that's why we wanted to release this right now. Also, I think like every few months is like, what are we gonna do with this tool thing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing something else. But I don't know. I have like the opera and the band, and then when this timeout happened, I'm like, you know what? This would be a nice offering. And maybe
now's the time.
Yeah,
now's the time. And that was my other question. If people want to follow along with whatever else you got going on, what's the best place to do that?
Well, I've disinfected all my social media.
Good for you.
Wiped clean.
Good for you.
There are some projects coming up that I feel really, really excited about, and I just wanted kind of a palate cleanse.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say right now. I'm working on some things. I'm working on some responses. So I'm just allowing it to be quiet, and in a little while, I'll have some things to offer and some things to share. But in the meantime, there's an opera that Wayne Shorter and I have been working on for a few years, and you can go to iphigenia.live to learn more about that.
Cool. Excellent. All right, we'll put that on our site too, because this has been absolutely great. Like I said, I've been playing the album all day. I have sincerely enjoyed it. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you tonight. Thank you for being the first guest on the Jazz's Last Call. Thank you.
Inaugural. Hey, but you gotta
That's
have
right.
It's gonna be last call, you know.
I know. It's a little early for a last call, but hey, you know, I got 2 kids. I got to go to bed early. You know how that's my excuse. Parent last call. That's it. Esperanza Spalding, thank you sincerely. I appreciate it.
You will.
Have a great night. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you to Esperanza Spalding. Again, the new album is available on Bandcamp right now and only through the month of June. So now is the time to buy it. Really go check it out. Okay, we are going to move along to the 5 spot. Tell you about 5 things that I'm digging at the moment. But first, I just want to let you know about Blue Sound. Blue Sound is an award-winning wireless hybrid sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. Choose music from your favorite streaming service or from a music library connected to your home network. You control where, at what volume, and when the music plays via a free Blue OS app. And that's it. Getting the kind of crisp, detailed, audiophile grade system that every jazz fan deserves has never been easier. For more info, visit bluesound.com or check out our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide. All right, we're going to move into the 5 spot now. These are 5 things that I think are really important that are happening in the jazz world right now. The first is the new initiative that a lot of music companies are taking up right now. The show must be paused. Again, it's spearheaded by a lot of labels in the music industry, including Capitol Music Group, which is the umbrella for Blue Note Records. This was launched in response to the recent turmoil and the killings of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. And Blue Note has posted an Instagram post that says, in part, in solidarity with our Black colleagues, artists, and loved ones across the country who are reeling from the senseless taking of another innocent Black life, Capitol Music Group will not be conducting any business on Tuesday, June 2nd, in observance of Blackout Tuesday. They are also donating to the organization Color of Change, which fights injustice, and you can too at colorofchange.org. Number 2 in the 5 spot, again, helping people through this crisis, is news that Smalls, the Smalls Jazz Club in New York City, which has really become kind of a hub for up-and-coming jazz players, is going to start streaming virtual concerts on their Facebook page. They will air in real time on the page and then will be archived on the Smalls site, where they are accessible for $10 per show. The club was able to do this through a grant from Billy Joel. Things kick off tonight, actually, right now, will last till 9 p.m. with Joe Farnsworth, the drummer Joe Farnsworth, fantastic drummer. So go check them out at smallslive.com. Okay, number 3 in the 5 spot is a new album from the pianist Harold Lopez Nusa. It's called Te Lo Dije, and it's coming out August 28th on Mac Avenue Records. He has a new single from this album out right now called Jazz Tone, which is a mashup of jazz and reggaeton, featuring Randy Malcolm of the group Henta de Zona. Harold is a phenomenal piano player. I've dug every one of the albums that he's put out, so I'm really looking forward to the release of this one on August 28th, and it's been a pleasure spinning this single. It's really cool, so you should check it out at haroldlopeznusa.com. Number 4, we're going to stick with albums. I got some more album recommendations for you. This one is from the vocalist Sarah Serpa. It's called Recognition, Music for a Silent Film, and it will be out via Biophilia Records on June 5th, 2020. There's a really cool concept behind this record. It's a collection of Serpa's original pieces set to film from her family's archives. The project traces the historical legacy of Portuguese colonialism in Africa through moving images and sound. Again, it's coming out June 5th on Biophilia Records. And Biophilia, if you don't know, what they sell are called biofolios. They're not CDs. They're these beautiful, like, origami folded papers that open up into these beautiful canvases with original artwork and poetry and liner notes and lyrics. They're a great company, you know, and eco-friendly, and we should definitely support them as well. All right, number 5, rounding out the 5 spot, is it's an album by Wynton Marsalis, and it's one that I'm listening to a lot at the moment. It's All Rise by Wynton Marsalis, and it came across my radar again because of this beautiful post that Wynton did on Facebook, in which he shared his thoughts about what's going on right now. The album All Rise is really a genre-defining album that touches on so many aspects of music, from classical to gospel to brass band, bluegrass, African music, Asian music. It's a beautiful tapestry of sounds, and it's all woven together with the thread of the blues. And Wynton says of the project, today the world is so small we don't need music to creep in closer to other people. We are close. The larger question of this moment is, how will we translate all of our differences into collective creativity? In music, in his music, he does it with the blues. How will we do it in real life? That's the question we're asking at the moment, is how will we do it in real life? So Wynton Marsalis's All Rise, I've been listening to it a lot today, and I suggest you do the same. That'll do it for today's programming. I want to just let you know about a guest coming up tomorrow. We're going to double down with the bass. We're going to be talking with Carlos Enriquez of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. His latest album is Dizzy Conclave, which kind of looks at the music of Dizzy Gillespie through the Afro-Cuban lens. It's a really great project. I love Carlos Enriquez's playing. And yeah, he'll be on the show tomorrow to talk about what's going on with him. In the meantime, again, we are running a special subscription offer for just 99 cents per month. For 3 months, you will receive unlimited digital access, which means you can read the web versions of every single article in our print issue. Plus, we will enroll you to receive our forthcoming print issue, the fall 2020 print issue, which is all about the art of the album, listening to albums, collecting albums, album art, producing albums. It's going to be really, really cool. That'll do it for me, everyone. Thank you for joining us for The Last Call. We'll see you tomorrow with bassist Carlos Enriquez. Cheers.